Hey YouTube, Mega Dweezil coming at you from the great Indiana wilderness. We're down here in the worm farm today and we're checking on our little friends, and as you can see, okay, we got some serious wormage going on here. Yeah, gotta get ready to feed them within the next couple of days. Now, as you saw in our worm tea video, okay, we pulled some compost out of one of these bins to make worm tea from, and what we've made is an amazing discovery thanks to Josephine's experimentation, which is that some of the compost is always going to have baby worms in it, and it's always going to have worm eggs in it. What we have discovered is that the brewing process of the tea, in other words 24 hours submerged in one of these tea bags, does not kill the baby worms. It also hatches the eggs. So consequently you get serious worms in these tea bags, and they can be put directly back into the bin. So our brewing process loses us nothing in terms of worms or in terms of the compost that we use. It can go directly back in the bin. So it's, you know, great. We've got a 100% closed system with no waste. Now we've got,
You can lift that up.
as you can see, okay,
And under the bag here are little worms.
yep, we've got all kind of little worms there.
Ew.
So these are guys that were in the compost that we harvested and been through the brew process, and these are going right back in the bin. We're going to put them in one of the thinner bins, but in any case it doesn't lose us any worms, this process. Now, why are we doing this worm tea thing? Why are we doing any of this crap? Why are we doing any of this? Well, worm tea, very simply, is, oh yeah, go get them, guys. Worm tea is something that we are making as a potential cash crop. Even in a small area like we have, okay, there is a potential to make a certain level of cash from your small-scale intensive agriculture operation if you work it right. The reason why we do this, people want to talk about self-sufficiency, okay? Self-sufficiency, the first thing you got to understand, do you like coffee? You know, do you like sugar? Do you like tobacco? Do you like any of that stuff? Because you can't make it. All right. Realistically, you know, there's a lot of stuff that we use on a day-to-day basis that if you want it all, you're going to have to pay for it or trade for it. So if you're going to have a self-sufficient operation, you better have some kind of a way that it produces either trade goods or cash. Now out here, you know, the obvious thing is, hey, you know, we're gonna trade vegetables. Everybody out here has vegetables. Everybody out here has a garden. Okay, what is it they don't have? You have to sort of, you know, you have to sort of look for a niche kind of market. But it was not unusual for my grandmother during the Depression to take a basket full of eggs, okay, from her hen house and go down to town and come back with all kinds of stuff. Okay, you know, that was just the system that took place down here. So this whole self-sufficiency biz, you know, yeah, sounds like a great idea, but the thing is you're never going to be the mountain man. You know, even the mountain man wasn't the mountain man. He went to Rendezvous once a year to buy his supplies. And, you know, he bought tobacco, he bought sugar, he bought all that kind of stuff that he couldn't make himself. You know, you've got to be ready to, some kind of an economy is always going to exist. This whole self-sufficient thing, I don't do this because I want to get next to Gaia the Earth Mother, you know. I'm not like going to go gnaw the bark on pine trees or, you know, any of that remarkable crap. My whole thing is just this, okay. There's going to be very shortly here situations that are going to be occurring that people really aren't looking for. They're not really even talking about. We've got blue water between Canada and the Arctic Circle at this point. The ice is melting very fast, and the faster it melts, the faster it melts. It's, you know, it's now accelerated to what the National Geographic has determined is 60% faster than the computer modules predicted. So we're now talking about, you know, conceivably within my lifetime, you know, and I'm kind of an old man, within my lifetime, places like Manhattan and Atlantic City being underwater. And that's not having anything to do with, the extreme climate change that we can expect in terms of storms and this and that, where just a slight increase in sea level is going to make a lot of places highly at risk for flooding. And I'm talking about stuff that makes Katrina, look like a bird bath. I don't look forward to society like collapsing, but I think society is definitely going to have to change. And I just don't, it doesn't make any sense to me to rag on our government and say, oh, Obama this, the Republicans that, yabba yabba. These guys are too busy standing in the cloakroom pissing on each other's leg, to do anything that's going to help us out. And realistically, it's a change in sea level, okay? What are they going to do anyway? It's past the tilt point. It's coming. And reality, the funny thing about reality is it always catches up, So at this point, in our history, looking at what's going on, if you're living in a city, which is where 80% of our population now lives, you can't produce food. You can save food, you can have a cupboard full of ramen noodles or a closet full of petrified yak tails or whatever the preppers are always talking about. But you need to be able to put yourself in a position where you can actually produce food, where you can actually farm, where you can actually do something that's going to create something that you can eat. And you don't do that fast. You don't do it on a 72-hour bug out, and you don't do it with a gun. Okay, these are things that people just really need to consider. When you're talking about self-sufficiency, you're talking about a process, and if you're starting now, you're late. So don't worry, YouTube. Indiana's holding.